You know, there's a reason some of the most resilient gardens on Earth came from places where water was, well, really scarce. Ancient farmers didn't rely on hoses or sprinklers. Instead, they learned how to let the soil drink at its own pace. One of their most brilliant inventions, the buried clay pot known as the Olla, quietly solves two modern garden challenges at once. Media group, gardener burying a terracotta Olla in garden soil, close-up of an Olla, clay pot in vegetable garden, hands placing clay pot among plants in stock or distribute equally efficient watering and steady feeding. It's a technique that blends simplicity, sustainability, and precision in a way that no plastic irrigation system can match. The secret behind the ancient Olla is deep hydration through slow release. At its core, the Olla method uses an unglazed terracotta pot as an underground reservoir. When filled with water, the porous walls of the pot allow moisture to seep slowly into the surrounding soil. The rate of seepage depends on the dryness of the soil, so when roots draw water away and the soil dries, more water escapes through the clay pores. When the soil is moist, the flow nearly stops. This natural balance makes it one of the most efficient irrigation systems ever designed, wasting almost no water through runoff or evaporation. The brilliance lies in how the Olla creates a zone of consistent moisture around the root area. Unlike surface watering, which often evaporates before roots can benefit, the Olla keeps the subsurface damp without waterlogging it. Plants grow deeper roots, the soil structure improves, and beneficial microbes thrive in the stable, oxygen-rich environment. This ancient method was used across desert gardens in China, North Africa, and the American Southwest, proving that good ideas travel well and last. Alright, let's dive into how to set up the clay pot system in pretty much any garden bed. First, you'll want to choose unglazed terracotta pots, ideally something between 5 and 10 liters, which works really well for raised beds or small plots. The pot should be thick-walled and have just one drainage hole at the bottom. Now you'll need to seal that hole tightly, using either a clay plug or a waterproof sealant, so the water doesn't escape too quickly. Before you go any further, fill the pot with water, and just check for any leaks. Once you're sure it's watertight, dig a hole that's deep enough so the neck of the pot sits just above the soil surface. Make sure the pot is surrounded firmly by soil, no big air gaps, you know? After it's buried, go ahead and fill the pot with water, then cover the top with a lid or even a flat stone. This helps stop evaporation and keeps mosquitoes out. In a standard bed, one medium pot can water plants within a radius of about 45 centimeters. For larger systems, just arrange the Ollas in a grid, spacing them about 60 centimeters apart to get that nice, even coverage. How to set up the clay pot system in any garden bed. Start by choosing unglazed terracotta pots, ideally between 5 and 10 liters for raised beds or small plots. The pot should be thick-walled and have a single drainage hole at the bottom. Seal that hole tightly, using a clay plug or waterproof sealant to prevent the water from escaping too quickly. Fill the pot with water to test for leaks before burying it. Dig a hole deep enough so that the neck of the pot sits just above the soil surface. The pot should be surrounded firmly by soil, with no large air gaps. Once it's buried, fill the pot with water and cover the top with a lid or a flat stone to prevent evaporation and mosquito breeding. In a standard bed, one medium pot can effectively water plants within a radius of about 45 centimeters. Larger systems can be arranged in a grid, spacing Ollas about 60 centimeters apart for uniform coverage. The goal is to let roots find the pot naturally. Within a few weeks, you'll notice that plants close to the Olla grow more vigorously and hold their color longer during dry spells. It's not magic, it's precise hydration where it's needed most, right at the root zone. Where this ancient trick becomes truly powerful is when you combine it with liquid feeding. Instead of plain water, you can fill your Olla with diluted compost tea, worm leachate, or fermented plant extracts. The porous clay slowly releases not only moisture but trace nutrients that stimulate microbial life around the root zone. It's a slow, constant feeding system that mimics natural soil ecology far better than dumping fertilizer at once. A practical ratio is 1 part mature compost tea to 10 parts water. This weak dilution ensures that nutrients remain in gentle concentrations that won't burn roots or clog the pores of the pot. Refill the Olla with this liquid every 3 to 4 days during warm weather or once a week in cooler conditions. You'll notice that plants fed this way develop a richer green tone, stronger stems, and higher resilience during drought stress. The steady supply of both moisture and nutrition encourages microbial symbiosis, the unseen partnership that builds true soil health. Using Ollas for irrigation, especially when combined with natural liquid feeds, really brings a host of benefits to your garden. This method conserves water, reduces evaporation, and ensures that moisture is delivered directly to the root zone, right where plants need it most. Because the water is released gradually, you avoid the stress that comes from cycles of flooding and drying out. It's a hands-off approach that saves you time and effort, and honestly, it's perfect for busy gardeners or anyone who wants a more sustainable way to grow. Plus, Ollas work well in raised beds, containers, and even in-ground plantings, making them super versatile for just about any growing situation. Over time, you'll notice healthier, more resilient plants, and you might even see improved yields, especially during those hot, dry spells. It's a simple, low-tech solution that fits right into both traditional and modern gardens. Why the Olla method prevents soil compaction and root stress. Traditional watering methods often cause surface crusting and compaction because water hits the topsoil too fast. The Olla avoids this by hydrating from within, allowing the soil to remain light and aerated. The absence of surface runoff means the topsoil retains structure, allowing oxygen to reach deeper layers. Roots follow the gradient of moisture, growing downward and spreading horizontally. This reduces transplant shock and makes plants more independent from daily watering. Gardeners who use this system often find that weeds become easier to control since the surface soil stays drier. Only the intended plants whose roots reach the moisture zone benefit fully from the water. Over time, this creates a more balanced garden ecosystem where beneficial fungi and bacteria can dominate. So, let's talk a bit about practical applications and seasonal adjustments. For summer gardens, or if you're in those dry regions, Ollas are just invaluable for crops like tomatoes, peppers, herbs, and fruiting plants that really dislike water fluctuations. During the cooler months, you can use the same system less frequently, but it still helps prevent dehydration of perennial roots. In larger plots, combining Ollas with mulch really gives you an unbeatable pairing. Mulch keeps that surface humidity, while the buried clay maintains deep moisture. If you're working with sandy soil, it's a good idea to line the area around the Olla with a mix of compost and clay before you fill the soil back in. That helps retain moisture for longer. Now, in heavy clay soils, just a small addition of coarse sand around the Olla prevents clogging and improves water distribution. The method really does adapt easily to all climates and soil types with just a few small tweaks. Reviving the art of slow watering for modern gardens is, honestly, a bit of a return to basics. What makes this old-world trick so enduring is its humility. It doesn't rely on electricity, pressure systems, or timers. It relies on balance between soil, water, and life. In practice, the Olla system restores an ancient gardening rhythm, watering less frequently but more wisely. It teaches patience, letting nature control its own flow rather than forcing it. Modern gardeners rediscovering this method often report, dramatic drops in water use and healthier soil texture after just one season. The invisible network of roots, fungi, and microbes starts to harmonize with the Olla's steady heartbeat. Over time, even depleted soil begins to hold moisture longer and produce better yields. The old-world gardener's secret is not just about saving water, it's about restoring respect for how living soil manages its own needs when given the right tools. If you haven't tried the clay pot trick yet, now is honestly the perfect time. Start small, observe closely, and you'll soon understand why generations before us swore by it. If this guide helped you rediscover a forgotten gardening art, make sure to subscribe to Gentle Herb Living and share this with fellow gardeners. These timeless methods deserve to live on, not as curiosities of the past, but as solutions for the gardens of the future.